So we're back outside on the van, and today we're going to do the CV boot on this side. And after I struggled last time with getting the clip onto the outer edge of the boot, somebody in the comments came back and gave me a bit of a hint, and that is to undo the retaining nut on the drive shaft on the wheel, and that then gives you about an extra 20 mil of movement of the drive shaft, so that it should give it enough clearance so we can get the tool on there to tighten it up properly. Going to give that a go today and see how we get on. So I've got a big breaker bar. I'm not sure what the torque settings of that nut is, but it's going to be pretty high. But anyway, I've got a big breaker bar, and we've got the 30 mil socket, good quality socket. Hope so. So we'll start and get that off. So I think what I'm going to do is take the center cap off the wheel and just see if I've got access to that nut, because obviously I would rather try and undo that with the vehicle on the ground if it's that tight, and then we can see if we can then get the wheel off and get it jacked up and sort that boot out. So let's crack on and see if we can get it done. So that's my breaker bar. I seem to have from memory that these were about 300 pound-foot. It certainly feels like it, and since I put the socket on there, I'm not sure whether that's actually a 29 or a 30, but that's a 30 socket. It hasn't rounded anything, and it has eventually undone the nut, so that's good. But my God, that is tight. So yeah, just make sure when we put it back up again, we do it to that similar tightness. Very, very tight. Okay, I'll get this jacked up now, get the wheel off, and we'll make a start and see what we can do. All right, see you in a bit. All right, that's the wheel off. Those nuts again were really, really tight, crazy tight. But anyway, that's looking good. So now I just need to get down and get the boot cut off and the new one slipped on, and then remove this nut, and hopefully that's going to give us enough play, but we'll test that out and see. So right, first things first, let's get ourselves prepared, get some rags, get some gloves on, and cut that old boot off. But nice to see that the new calipers there, very similar to the one that I had, except I think that is actually, maybe that's a genuine Renault one, I don't know, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I did notice on these are actually installed. I've installed the other ones the wrong way around because they were on the wrong way originally, but these pins are meant to be to the outside, not to the inside. But this has got new hoses on there as well, so that's good. Actually, now having said that, it's got one new hose. That's a bit annoying. Oh, I see why, because some muppet has rounded the threads on that one. Oh, that's going to be a challenge, isn't it? Anyway, I think I'll just leave that for the time being. It does look in decent condition. It's not corroded at all or split or anything like that. So yeah, but somebody has definitely done a number on that one, and in fact looks like that one as well. So they probably need redoing at some point, but that's not for today because they're not leaking and they're working fine. Anyway, let's crack on. I will see you shortly. Yeah, I just wanted to show you what the problem is. Fairly obvious when you put it on lock and turn it around. I've got a couple of bushes up here I'm going to replace at some point. Not today, it's just the anti-roll bar bushes. I'll just order a set of those. They're easy to replace anyway. But the main thing here is getting that boot off. But you can see it's definitely had its day, which is unusual considering the rest of the underneath here. It's really, really clean. Just a little bit of light dirt on there. Can't really see any rust anyway either. Not up in the suspension mount. Nothing there at all. So yeah, just a little bit of surface dust, dirt, But yeah, we'll give it a wipe over, just make sure there's nothing there. But considering this is 42 years old, it's in damn good condition. Anyway, let me crack on. Okay, so I've undone that drive shaft nut, and as you can see, as I push that shaft in and out, I've now got room here, in and out. So yeah, so I think that's going to work just fine to be able to get access to the clip at the back. So that tip came, I realised afterwards, it wasn't a comment. Very few people ever seem to comment on the videos, but never mind, it's not the purpose of them. But no, this came from the Mk1 Renault Trafic Facebook group. So if anybody's got one of these and needs help and advice, go and join it. Completely free, of course, because it's a Facebook group. But there are some really good expert advice on there. There's some people who could give expert advice, should I say. So yeah, if you I'll put a link in the description, but definitely go and have a look at that if you've got a Renault Trafic, especially the Mk1s, because it's invaluable. I do have a workshop manual, but it's in French. So a little bit of translation required. So anyway, I will get this a second clip off, and then we'll cut the new boot to fit. Get that on there. Okay, so that's the new boot on. These are tight on now. Now, the idea of undoing the nut to bring that forward does help slightly positioning the clip on, but it still doesn't give you enough room to be able to get the tool on to tighten it up. So what I worked out was that if you partially tighten the clip with the tool before you put it on, then after clipping it into place and tightening it up by hand as much as you can in the clips, then if you get a pair of heavy-duty cutters, you can just get them in from behind the wheel, so coming in from the other direction than where I'm pointing now, and you can, because it's already kind of started the bend, you can just about get enough force to be able to fully tighten that down. It worked out slightly better than the other side because I pre-started the bend, and I think that was the secret to making this work properly. Anyway, that's on there now. I just want to tidy that clip up there a little bit to give it another bit of a squeeze. But yeah, these are really good. I've tried, once I've glued them, I wait about 2 or 3 minutes after they've glued, and then absolutely try to stretch it and pull it. It will not come apart. So this is definitely a long-term fix. What you do then is you just run a little seam of the glue around the outside, and then that picks up any of the micro holes that might be left. But no, that's fine. And then of course we just top it up with the new grease, not overfilling it, because that's bad apparently. But yeah, I think that's certainly solved the problem for the time being. I've got a couple of, so I've got these anti-roll bar joints to redo. They're dead easy. And then I've got a tie rod end where the boot is ripped. There's no play in it, but the boot is ripped on the other side. I don't know if you can just see that there. So I've got 2 of those to replace. They do come in different thread sizes, so I've had to measure the threads on those. They're 14mm. But if you do the same job yourself, then when you're replacing the tie rod ends, just make sure you get the right ones, because I think there are some 12mm and these are 14s. Anyway, again, dead easy job to replace later on when I get them, which I will show you about when it happens. Right, let's get this back together again. So I shall see you shortly.